you can't find samples to save your life, or every time you do find one, your chops sound boring, bland, and basic, then you just found the perfect video. Because today, we're gonna do a deep dive into the art of finding, chopping, and flipping samples. Whether you're a beginner or pro, stick around because these tips will change the way you make music. So for the people that don't know me yet, my name is Vision XE. I've worked with Southside, Q Beats, DJ Mustard. I produced for Roddy Rich, G Herbo, Doughboy, and many more. So I definitely know what I'm talking about. Let's actually get into step one, which is actually finding a sample, which can also be sometimes very tricky, you know? I have 3 different ways that I love to do. The first one being Samplet right here. This is basically just a website that uses YouTube videos, and it already found like a lot of different samples and cataloged it. So now we can just play this. I'm not gonna play it too long because of copyright reasons, but as you can see, I can just listen to samples right here. You can also add the tempo, you can filter, you can put like a genre in there. Let's say we wanna do blues, we're gonna do C major, and the time should be 4/4, and then you can apply a tempo as well. So now we can play it, and then as soon as we do random, it finds something in that style. Easy. And as you can see, it also lets you know which one was your last one, and then you can favorite it. You can also just go to YouTube from here and download it. So super cool way to find unique samples. The next website, as you can see, is Radio Garden. It's a pretty cool site where you can find all kinds of radio stations playing right now everywhere in the world. So if we just go right here, see, you have all the radio stations playing. And obviously, you can't see the song title most of the time. What you actually can do is use the sample extension on Google Chrome. To do that, you just go to your Chrome web store and you type a sample. You just go right here and you add to Chrome. Add extension. It's going to install this real quick. And then we have the sample extension right here. We can pin it, open it, press record, let it play. And then we record it. And now we have our sample right here that we can play. And then we can just save it like this. And now we can just drag it into FL. So these are like 2 very cool ways to find samples. So the problem with these 2 methods though is that they are obviously not royalty free. That means if I rip a song and I put it into a beat and I place it, let's say, with a big artist, then the original authors of the song have like a claim to that song, you know. And the worst case is you will not get paid at all, or like not get any percentages. In some cases, people don't really care, but you know, it's always like a risk involved. And that is basically the biggest problem with sampling, because you never know what's gonna happen. So just as an example, I actually sampled in my placement with Roddy Rich. I actually sampled like a Memphis rapper for the acapella, and he was super cool and he was super fine with it, and we gave him a good percentage. Nothing outlandish, it was very fair, and that's it, you know. But it doesn't always go that way. So always be very mindful of that. And that is also the reason why I actually don't like to sample that much. What I like to do though is just use already royalty-free samples. As an example, like we have the Generations pack or the Gems pack. We have like different kinds of loops right here, and then we can just sample those. As you can see, you have different like generations of sounds. Go to the 70s, melodies. So these already sound like samples. So if you sample those, you have like nothing in the back of your mind telling you, oh, I might get sued type shit, you know? So this method of actually using like royalty-free samples or like samples of people I know is gonna be the method I use most for finding samples to chop and flip. Before we dive deeper, I actually wanted to tell you guys about the Project One beta pack. It comes with over 7 GB of new royalty-free samples, MIDIs, drums, effects, and much more. And after you get the pack, you can enter the Project One song contest, where you have the chance to win over $10,000 in prizes, including $1,000 in cash, a Korg Mini Log, a UAD Vault audio interface, Audio Technica, headphones, and a ton of other crazy prizes. If you want that, you can download it in the first link in the description for free. So the next step would be actually like finding the key of your sample and finding the BPM of your sample. So let's look for something. Let's say we didn't know it's 70 BPM right here, because these obviously come labeled, you know. To find the BPM, sometimes it's pretty simple, where you can just like drag down the time and find like where it fits, you know. So right now everything lines up. So the 1 always hits on the 1, which is super easy way to find it. Another way to do it is to go to Edison and then go right here to the sample properties. So you just right click the sample rate, and then you can go to auto detect, detection for songs, quick estimation for short loops, and it's 140. So it instantly found the BPM. This is not accurate all the time, so sometimes this might mess up, but this is a good way to start, but don't take it like for gospel, you know. So now that we found the BPM of our sample, what we can do is find the key. Obviously, there are multiple different ways to do it. If you are a little bit musically inclined or if you want to practice it, actually using a keyboard and finding the notes is going to be very helpful long term. To do that, we just try to find scale, and we just do that by basically playing notes and then listening, you know, put a pattern down and then just doesn't fit. And then pretty fast, you can actually get the pattern down. Doesn't fit, fits. We copy it again. You can even do it like does fit. And if you're musically inclined, you can already tell by that pattern what kind of key we're in. Yeah, so it's D minor. Obviously, you can already tell it on top right here. So what I meant by if you're musically inclined, you can already tell by the first couple notes is because there are major patterns for scales and minor patterns. The minor pattern is always whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step. And the major one, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. Yeah. So using this pattern, or these patterns, you can instantly tell what key it is. So for the people that don't want to find the key like this, because it's very time intensive in the beginning when you have no idea, you can use plugins like Melodyne. You can use AutoKey, but AutoKey is also not as reliable. But as an example, AutoKey right here. Let's see if it finds the right thing. See, it instantly found the right key, but this is not always 100% accurate. So you can do a similar thing as Melodyne with Edison. You can just right click, go to tools, and then convert to score and dump to piano roll. This basically gives you the bass line right here. And it should also give you the chords, but it doesn't right here. So these are the ways you can find out the key pretty fast. From here on out, it's going to be less technical and more about the music. One more thing I want to show you guys is this new feature, this extract stems from sample feature we have in FL Studio now. As you can see, you can just extract it. And now you can choose what you want to extract. Let's say you want just the drums and instrument, and then boom, we can extract that. And now it's going to run through the whole sample and it's going to spit out the instrument. And it's actually pretty accurate. So as you can see right here, we have both and we have the melody. This is obviously a great feature if you have a sample that you really like the melody or the drums, but you don't like the other part, you know? But yeah, enough talking. Let's actually get into the chopping. So we have two main ways of chopping something. We can use a sampler like Slice X, Serato, FL Slicer, Ableton Slice samplers, you know? Or we can do it in the playlist by hand. So there's no wrong or right way. Some things are just like better for certain situations. Let's start by using the sampler. To get into a sampler, you can just right click and right here open either a Fruity Slicer or Slice X channel. I'm gonna do Fruity Slicer. And now we have our sample right here. And as you can see, there's already a MIDI in our pattern now. So if we play this, it's already chopped. It's just chopped normally. So the next step would be finding our slices. You could actually use these slices like this, but most of the time they're very like weirdly sliced. So now we can just go right here and maybe select beat. You can do sharp, you can do dull, you know? So most of the time I go for beat. You can also go for the rest. It doesn't really matter. So next we want to add some attack, like 15 ms, 10 ms, somewhere around there. Same for DDK. This just allows it to not click. So if we play it without, if in the beginning, you hear the clicks, right? And if I turn to 15, 10, 15 ms, the clicks are gone. This is because we give it a little bit of attack, basically just little fade-ins every time we play something. So the next thing we can do is do a play to the end. This means we can just hold it like a button. So if you don't want those choppy samples and you want it to be a little more smoother, this is like a nice option. You don't have to put it on every time though. Next we have these controls right here. So first we have pitch, which is pretty simple. You just pitch it down or up. Bro! See, you can find random slices like that just playing on your keyboard, you know? You can also pitch it up. This is how you get that cardiac chipmunk effect. And then we have the stretch slices. This is gonna do this to your slices. So let's say you have a slice that goes like this. It's gonna stretch it out to fully match it. And it's obviously gonna change the sound a bit, you know, which is okay. We just can do it. And you can see that on the top right here, you can see the BPM is stretched too. So as you can see right here, if I play it now it's like the half BPM stretch. Or I can stretch down, it's gonna be very choppy then. Oh wait, I've played it again. Now it's gonna be very choppy. So it basically just time stretches them. And these are basically the main elements of the slicer. You also have this reverse section right here. So I play this right here. I can actually go in and reverse this section. That is pretty much all the different options you have right here. You also have different stretching methods. So if you do choose this option right here, you can have different options and it sounds a little bit different then. But yeah, these are the main features. So we can do the same thing right here in the playlist, just a little bit different. So what we do right here is go right here on this little waveform, left click it, and then we have chop. And then we can also select time-based, repeating, marching patterns. We can basically find chops, you know. I'm gonna just do beats again. So now, as you can see, our sample is chopped into different parts. And now we can go in and listen to it. And as you can tell, it's very like clicky. So we would have to go in later and add fades, or we can just go in and go to generic right here, to declicking mode. It's still a little bit clicky, so let's try smooth. Okay, we have to go in later. Normally this works, but sometimes it just doesn't. So we'd have to go in manually and add fades. You can also go to edit and create new clips with manual handles. And this also allows you, once you create new clips, there's automatically like fades in there, so it doesn't click. So now in the playlist, we would just find our chops the same way we did before. This is a little bit easier visually. So if you're not like trying to play them on a keyboard and you're more of a visual guy, then this is probably going to be easier for you, because there's obviously going to be visual representatives of chops. So we can do something. One good thing about this chopping stuff in the playlist is actually having more control over your chops, right? So in the sampler, it is very hard for me to actually go in and just cut something like this and then have it like visually be like this, you know? So you have like a little bit more control over your chops before like you actually bounce down the sampler. Just something to keep in mind. Let's try these maybe. Yeah, something like this. Now, obviously we have to go in and we have to declick this because it's clicking like very heavily. And there's actually a small trick right here. The crazier you make your fades right here, the more it's going to sound sampled, you know, because you have these chops in there. It's going to automatically give you a lot of bounce, you know. In this case, it's going to give me a lot of like quarter note bounces because I chopped everything in quarter notes. And just as an example, this is something we could easily do. And this is also why I'm saying you have more control over this, because you can just go in and pitch it up, just like in the sampler, right? So now we pitch it up. We're 7 up, like the soda. Anyways, so now let's say we want this part to be pitched down though, because we like want to have a change. Then we can just make it unique, and then we can just go, we're 7 up right now, 5 down, a whole octave, and now we have like this pitch down. And then we can do the same right here. This would sound kind of cool, like a question and answer maybe. So that's pretty cool. So you can also do this on a sampler. It just takes a little more effort. So we would have to duplicate the sampler, clone the notes, have to go in on one sampler, go down 5 semitones, and then we have to go in and delete everything except the note we want to play, and then we have to delete the note out we want to play on the higher one. So now we have the same thing right here. It just took a little bit longer. So that's just as an example. As you can see, we have 2 different types of chops. Obviously, this one is a little more simplistic and this is a little more crazy, but that has nothing to do with the choice of chopping. It is just, I just came up with them, you know? So now we could actually get to the beat part. So these are like the 2 different ways of chopping. There are hundreds more, but these are like the main ones you're going to be using. Either sample-based or like playlist-based. The sampler-based one, in my opinion, is better for people that actually like try to play with the keys, you know, and you're listening for the chops. And the second one is a little bit better for people that maybe don't have a keyboard or that just are a little bit more visual than other people. So pick what you want, you know, it doesn't really matter. You can come up with very cool stuff either way. So now to get different sections, you can also just play stuff, you know, so we can actually just take one of those pieces right here and just extend it. This is just a very easy way to get some like arrangement to your beats, you know, so just like that, you know. This would be like a verse section and like a bridge, you know, and just a lot of rapping, you know. So this is pretty cool. You can do the same thing with your sampler though. What I like to do right here is add some drums now. And obviously we can do the same with drums, right? So if we have a drum loop right here, we can just go in, stretch that again. We can just play it like this, but you know, let's not do that. Let's actually go in and add this to a slicer. Now we have it on a slicer right here in our pattern. Check out our beats again, and now we can go in and actually create a pattern. And that is pretty much how you actually just sample drums as well. So what we can also do right here is just texturize our drum loop a little bit, you know. What I'm gonna do is, first off, let's mute the sample for a second. Set a deja vu. Take out the smoothness. Taking out the smoothness right here allows us to get a little bit more of the transients back. So actually that kick, you know, that hit. Next, gonna use an illusion. As an example, we can use this tape bucket preset. This obviously sounds cooked right now, but right now we can just bounce it out. And now we basically take these effects off and we just create our own sample, you know. And now we can just go in and chop, time-based, beats. And now we can do the same thing again just to layer our drums a little bit. And this is just gonna make them a little bit more gritty, a little bit more dirty, you know. Just as an example, now I can duplicate that because I actually like that part. And then we can actually go in and do the same thing again. We can pitch it up, we can add effects on this. And then we can obviously also put them to a mixer track. Add our sample back. And yeah, that is pretty much it. Now we can add a bass, effects, and really go crazy, you know? So that's the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like, leave a comment. I'm always answering comments down below. That's it for me. Peace out.